Hello friends, Angelo here. Welcome to another video. I've been working on these videos lately to let all of us know that we are in a very strange world today when it comes to dating and relationships. The entire world has changed. Things that used to work, especially when it comes to sexuality, those things no longer work. Dating and relationships are almost impossible. So today we're going to talk about the elephant in the room. Something that is happening to all of us, something that has been happening to me, something that is happening to you, something that we can be very sure that is happening to everybody, including people on Grindr. Many years ago, I created a video where I focused on the mental health of exposure to Grindr, calling people that are on Grindr narcissistic, many of them are sociopathic, psychopathic. The worst kind of people are attracted to Grindr. And we are exposed to them and we get rejected, we get abused by them. And that was the core of that video, that the more time you spend on Grindr, you can be rest assured that your mental health will deteriorate. I'm going to put a link to that video below this video. It's a very important video so that you see for yourself that whatever happens on Grindr, on the hookup apps, it's very, very, very toxic. Now, in this video today, we're going to have a slightly different perspective, a more compassionate perspective, to say that everybody who's on Grindr, on the hookup apps, these are individuals that are victims of post-traumatic stress disorder. And in fact, all of us today are victims to PTSD. And so post-traumatic stress disorder is something that is happening to all of us. If you are new to my channel, please subscribe to my channel so that we learn together. And those of you who don't know me, I am the founder of the Big Gay Family Social Program. It's a very unique experience of dating, of building relationships, where we merge the Eastern and the Western traditions or cultures together into this very unique dating experience. It's the East and the West coming together in a very protective, very loving and kind formula for dating and relationships. If you want to date men in a powerful way, join us, visit the website biggayfamily.com. Everything I'm talking to you about today has been implemented inside Big Gay Family Social Program. So the understanding of PTSD, the understanding of the trauma and effects of trauma on our mental health is very important to understand, because you might be thinking, oh my gosh, there's something wrong with me. I can't find a lover. Or what's going on with those guys? Why are they so judgmental? Why are they rejecting? Why are they ghosting? And so the missing link in understanding all of this is the link of PTSD, post-traumatic stress disorder, that is causing everybody to be so highly irrational, highly reactive. So let me ask you this. What is your sleep like? How do you sleep these days? Do you sleep through the night? Straight through the night, no interruptions, which is the normal sleep, healthy sleep, or do you wake up once, twice, 3 times? Also, let's talk about your level of tension and anxiety in your life. Do you feel like you have this happy, joyful mood most of the time? Or are you experiencing anxieties? Are you experiencing maybe even depression? And maybe you take pills to cope with that. And finally, let's talk about this hunger for relief. Do you feel like every time that you meet someone, you immediately want to find out, are we sexually compatible? Are we going to be lovers? Are we going to be together? And if not, we reject the person because we are so hungry for relief that we cannot commit to a longer time, longer duration to get to know somebody. If you have these situations happening, which I assume most of you are having these situations happening, because I'm also having this happening. Everybody that I'm talking to is having this happening. So this means that there is something going on with all of us as a result of the past 10 years of the hookup culture, the rejections, the judgments, the abandonment that eventually affect everybody. And nobody is spared, no matter how tough you are. And I used to pride myself that I'm this tough motherfucker. I can handle anything. you're not going to be able to handle abandonment, rejection, and indifference over and over and over. The repetition of abandonment, rejection, and indifference will take the strongest man and cause him to have mental health issues. Now, what we're not going to talk about here is the suicidal ideation. But suicidal ideation is also a very common effect of repetitive abandonment, repetitive rejection, and indifference. So most of you are definitely going to have sleep disorders or sleep issues, anxieties, maybe even depression, and hunger for relief. And some of you may be even having suicidal ideation. All of this is the outcome of post-traumatic stress disorder. The common misconception about PTSD is that you have to go to war, you have to witness murder, you have to witness an accident in order to have that post-traumatic stress disorder. And that's not true. You can have PTSD after a series of breakups. You can have PTSD as a series of abandonments through Grindr, through the hookup apps. And so connecting Grindr to PTSD is important because you are exposing yourself to a repetitive experiences that are so negative that even though you might be a tough person, even though you might have perfect mental health, consistent, repetitive exposure of abandonment, rejection, and indifference is going to hurt you, is going to affect your mental health. One of the ways we can check for that, in addition to these three symptoms, is to ask you, are you pessimistic or are you optimistic about the future of your love life? Are you joyful? Are you looking forward to meeting men? Are you excited about your future love affairs, your future romances? Or is everything now pessimistic? Is everything dark colors? Did you lose belief in love, in successful dating? If that is your world, that world is the outcome of post-traumatic stress disorder, which is a situation after repetitive abandonments, rejections, and indifference. Studying trauma can help you understand that we live today in the world of trauma. Today's world, not just the gay dating world, but the world in general is a world filled with post-traumatic stress disorder for everybody. And if we add to that the pandemic, the lockdowns, and social distancing, inability to heal from PTSD, now we can say, oh my gosh, we are living in this hot soup of PTSD for everybody, including people on Grindr. So there's this compassionate side of me that recently I wanted to cultivate, to recognize that all of us are injured. All of us are going to have mental health problems as a result of this world that we live in. We can't escape it. We can't say, oh my gosh, I am this tough person and I'm going to handle this and no problem. I don't think it works that way. We are made to live in healthy, natural settings where we're not exposed to abandonment, rejection, and indifference by loved ones, by people that we see. And if our natural environment is not like that, then our health, our mental health is going to be impacted. There is a solution to all of this. The solution to all of this is, first, you have to accept yourself, that your hunger for relief, and that often is about sexual compatibility and sex, the immediacy of knowing, is he going to be top or bottom? Is he going to be my rescuer, right? The anxieties and the sleep issues that you might be having, that might be the symptom of PTSD. And realizing this can be very relieving to recognize, oh my gosh, it's not me, it's the world. Everybody's right now under a lot of stress and tension. And so inside of ourselves, we're going to have these reactions to that stress, and we refer to that as the post-traumatic stress disorder. We have one area of control that's remaining in our dating pursuits. So once you are aware of this, what can happen is you can control how you meet men and where you meet men. And this is the place where you can transform, where you can heal, you can prevent the exposure that's repetitive to abandonment, rejection, and indifference. You can put an end to post-traumatic stress disorder, and then you can put an end to their sleep issues, anxieties, and this hunger goes away, and now you're able to meet men in a wholesome way, where you no longer pay attention to the immediate gratification because you are looking for that relief. And instead, you can commit for longer, you can be consistent, you can show up, and you can build loving, kind, respectful relationships. And the way that you do that is by separating yourself from Grindr, obviously, from the exposure to all of those situations, and then changing how you meet men. So going to a different place, changing the way of coming together, connecting, not starting with sex, starting with emotion, starting with communication. And that is how you are preventing yourself from the re-exposure to trauma, re-exposure to rejection, because when you start with sex, you're going to be experiencing re-exposure to rejections, because everybody today, they assess everybody through sex. So we need to change the approach. You need to meet people outside of their sexual agendas so that you don't have to be re-exposed to the stress of rejection and abandonment. And so we start the process differently. We start the process with emotion, with communication, and then you feel safer, the stress goes away, and then you can let go of the burdens for which you are looking for relief. And the anxiety and the sleep issues are going away. You are no longer in a state of this vibrational tension and anxiety. And relationships begin to work. And so this is what the Big Gay Family Social Program is about. And to give you an example of how we are promoting the first 30 days of introductions and the first connections, that the first moments of the connection process, is by delaying the visuals. So you are not going to see the people that you meet for the first 30 days. And that's intentional. This is the Buddhist approach. This is the Hindu approach. So in Big Gay Family, we merge the East and the West. Just like in the 60s, there was this revolution in the heterosexual culture. We are doing the same thing. We are bringing the mindfulness, we are bringing the meditative, the self-reflection processes to the introduction process. And for the first 30 days, you delay the visual. And after 30 days passes, that's when you begin to see each other. And this puts an end to re-exposure to abandonment, rejection, and indifference, because in most situations, if we are honest, people reject each other because they see that picture and they are so hungry and they immediately reject. And so we have to put an end to that. And inside the Big Gay Family Social Program, we put an end to that. And that's why people are connecting in amazing and beautiful ways. And most of the people that you meet in the program will continue in your life past 6 months, which is unheard of. And the reason why this works is because we bring the Buddhist, the Hindu approaches, we merge it with the ego, the Western approach, and then things begin to work. So let's bring this compassion to all of us. All of us are struggling with this right now. I'm struggling with this the same way that you're struggling with this. I do practice the more Buddhist approach, so I may struggle with this a little bit less than some of you, but this is still something that is affecting all of us. This is why there's so much abandonment. This is why all these poor souls on Grindr and the hookup apps, these men, they don't even know they are in a post-traumatic stress disorder situation. And so part of me says that we should not judge them anymore. We should not be critical of them. We should be compassionate to them. We should be compassionate to all of us, because I might be dealing with this differently. You might be dealing with this differently. He might be dealing with this differently. Everybody's freaking out. Everybody's unhappy with what's going on with dating and relationships. So we don't have to pretend anymore that everybody's happy. So let's stop this pretense and let's bring compassion to all of us. You bring compassion to me, I bring compassion to you. And somewhere in there, we realize that we are all hungry for this relief. And by recognizing it, we can accept the fact that through that hunger, we make it even more difficult. And we can dissolve this hunger. We can come into this beautiful sense of self-compassion and then enter into the dating process in ways that no longer trigger our nervous system and our internal states of hurt and pain. And instead, we enter into each other's lives in a kind, gentle, and loving way. And that's the process inside the Big Gay Family Social Program. And that's what I'm inviting you to participate in, to join us and see it for yourself. I also want to mention that this is not a medical advice. When we talk about PTSD, when we talk about suicidal ideation, these are very serious topics. So if you are in some of those spaces, I recommend you talk to medical professionals. And our conversation here is this educational conversation to check whether this may be your situation or not. And what are the solutions to that? What are the possible solutions by changing how you meet men? Because that's where you have control. You can't control people. That's right, you can't control them. But you can control how you meet them. You can control the first impression. That's the first 30 days, very important. The first moments of meeting people, very important. Sets the frame for the rest of the interaction. You have control over that. You can control where you meet people. You don't have to go to Grindr anymore. You don't have to spend time on the hookup apps and re-expose yourself to PTSD. You can now do things differently. That is what you have control over. And that's good news. It's in fact very good news, because now you can join the Big Gay Family Social Program and meet men differently. So thank you for listening. I'm sending love and compassion to all of you. Some of you might be in more challenging situations than others. So let's bring compassion to all of us. Let's quiet down the judgments. Let's quiet down the evaluations. All of us are in this mess together. Welcome to this hot mess. And let's bring the solutions into our lives through compassion, through awareness, and gentle baby step at a time progress. Let's change how we meet each other. Let's change where we meet each other. And by doing so, love is possible for all of us again. So with that, please join us at the Big Gay Family Social Program. Visit the website biggayfamily.com. And I'm super excited to see you in the program. And if you are new to my channel, please subscribe so that we learn together. And also, I'm looking forward to seeing you in the next video. Thanks for watching. I'll see you soon. Take care.